Firstpost Pole Position, our Facebook Live show where we discuss everything to do with Formula One and motorsport. Welcome to our very first episode in 2018. We are looking forward to the new season to start. And there's plenty happening in the off season. There's always something that's making news. And I'm joined by our regular experts. It's great to see you guys, Kunal Shah and Mithila. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey.
Thank you for having us on the show. It's Happy New Year to everyone.
Yes, Happy New Year to all of you all.
Happy New Year to all our viewers. And let's just discuss what's been making news in the world of Formula One over the past month or so. And the new season, of course, still a while away. But the 2018 paddock is finally decided. Williams announced their second driver just this week. And they've made a surprising choice. Kunal, is this what you were expecting? Were we expecting to see Sergei Sirotkin? I hope I'm getting his name right. Were we expecting him to get the seat? And what does this announcement really mean?
Well, is it the right decision? We'll know in some time. But, as a fan, there was definitely a lot of fan power and fan voting going on for Robert Kubica. We were all rooting for him. But Williams has made a smart choice, if they ask me, because they put Sergei Sirotkin in the car. They have his talent as well as his money, both of which the team would need. And a lot of how do I put it? A lot of purists have not taken well to the decision because we all want to see the comeback story and the fairy tale story of Robert Kubica. And there is this talk of the data from the Abu Dhabi test where Sirotkin was better than Kubica on certain configurations, especially on single lap pace. So what this arrangement would now offer Williams is actually best of both worlds because, like I said, they have the money from Sirotkin and Stroll. They'll have Kubica, who will be working hard with the engineers, trying to prove himself for a seat for 2019. And definitely, Kubica will also improve with more track time, which this new contract is also going to give him. So all in all, for Williams, a great move. For Formula One, definitely a lot of positive PR being missed by Kubica being, put in as a test driver. But the Kubica Formula One dream is not over by any means just yet.
Mithila, I'm sure even maybe you're also a little surprised at this point because I know how much you were counting on seeing Kubica back racing in 2018.
We've been rooting for Kubica. I think all of us on the show have been talking about how exciting it would be if he could make a comeback this season. Alas, I think we have to wait one more season. I think the fact that both Sirotkin and obviously Stroll are both paid drivers is, going to make a lot of people acutely aware of their performance and, maybe judge their performance really harshly. Williams now has the least experienced pairing on the grid. So a lot of people are just going to be watching out to jump at them and tell them that, hey guys, y'all made a mistake. Y'all should have taken Kubica. So I think this pairing needs to work really hard to prove itself. So
Yeah, among other announcements, Ferrari have got Daniil Kvyat as their test development driver, the third driver, what they're saying. What do you think of this move?
So it's really interesting. I think this was a surprising piece of news for a lot of us. The only news we've been hearing about Daniil Kvyat over the last several months has been, of his emotions and like bad stuff. Being associated with Ferrari, I think it's every Formula One driver's dream in whatever capacity. So I think on that front, Daniil Kvyat has something to be really excited about. I think the question here is what role will Daniil Kvyat actually be playing at Ferrari? And, there's an open discussion in the media that they've not actually identified the specific role he'll be playing, more so because Ferrari already has Antonio Giovinazzi. And, he was playing the role of the third driver last season. He's still around. And obviously there's Charles Leclerc. So what will Kvyat be doing? Where does he feature in the pecking order? All pertinent questions that we'd love to know more about.
I think that Daniil Kvyat is going the Jean-Eric Verne way. And that would mean that he'll spend a couple of years as development driver at Ferrari. He'll actually get no track time in the Formula One car that Ferrari is, building. but he'll get a lot of simulator time. So there will, of course, be a lot of his inputs going into the car as well. But eventually, we'll see Daniil Kvyat resurface or surface in another series. Could be Formula E, could be the World Endurance Championships, etc., and maybe even go ahead and win those championships. So I think he's going to go the Jean-Eric Vergne way. Although I don't know if there was an option for him to go the Nico Hulkenberg way, like he did with Force India when he was dropped from Williams. So honestly, I wish Danny Kvyat would have probably explored that option, because staying out of contention for one race season in 2018 and then trying to join Force India as a lead driver in 2019, if and when Esteban Ocon or Sergio Perez would move, would have probably meant that he would have spent more time in Formula One. But who knows? Maybe that option may still be open for him next season if a vacancy does come by.
Yeah. And of course, as we discussed on news and announcements from off season, if there's something that you guys want to ask us or comment on, put it in the comments and we'll take it up. What do you think of these announcements? Let us know. Of course, talking of drivers and their potential and how they can do, we had a bit of a controversial statement, from the Haas team. Their chief came out and said that American drivers aren't really ready right now to sort of compete in the sport. And of course, we had a lot of counter reaction to that. A lot of Americans also speaking up again. Kunal, what do you make of that? Do you think that there's some merit to his statement?
I think there was a big foot in small mouth statement, to be honest. Okay. And I keep saying this, that America actually has a parallel world of motorsport that is not as followed globally, but they still have really competitive, really fast series that keep running. The Indy cars, as we know, the NASCARs out there as well. And there are some really talented drivers out there as well. And I'm not going to name a few because there are actually a lot of drivers to name. And we don't want to go through what Haas went through, where all the drivers actually lashed out to them on social media. But frankly speaking, maybe this is a point of time in life and in the life cycle of Formula One that Formula One doesn't just look at drivers in Europe for talent, which has predominantly been the norm, but looks at racing talent in America as well, because there are some really strong names that have knocked the doors of Formula One, but haven't really got their chance out there yet. So hopefully that there is this switch and transfer of drivers that happen. We saw Alonso from Formula One go and race in America, and the reverse happens sometime soon, so that there is growth of motorsport all along.
Yeah, and we also had a new plan that to sort of put out for 2021, where it sort of suggests that the cars will be a little more sensational, more video game-esque, so to say. And Ross Brawn says that's the way ahead for the sport. It's obviously a potential plan in the works. Mithila, your take on this?
I actually found it really absurd, for lack of better words. I mean, the Formula One cars look amazing as it is. With or without the halo, depending on which side of the fence you're on. And I just found it really absurd the way the thinking behind the statement came about. It almost seems like Formula One is trying so hard to court the younger viewer, the millennials, all of that they're doing whatever it takes in what the direction that they believe will endear the sport to the younger viewers. And it didn't actually seem that Ross Brawn had thought through this statement. It just seemed like this was a cool thing to say, and the youngsters love playing video games, Max Verstappen included. So let me just go say that. We've spoken a lot about how, Formula One needs to focus on not just how the cars look, but how the cars race and how closely they race on track. And I think that's where they need to renew and work their focus on.
Yeah. We don't know. I mean, 2021 is obviously a long way away, but let's just hope that's not the future that they're thinking about. But,
I really hope not. And if they are, then this is pretty much the last few seasons of Formula One as we've always known it. And that's what I strongly believe is going to happen. Because, what Liberty Media is also going to try and need to do is balance out the expectations of the new teams that are interested in entering, like the Aston Martins and the Porsches of the world, while keeping the interests of the old teams like Ferrari and Mercedes out there. Because we definitely need those iconic teams to be competing in Formula One. It's synchronous, right? When we think of Formula One, we think of all the top teams, and you don't want to have suddenly a new lineup coming and people having no reference to what the team has done in the past.
Yeah. But something, I mean, we're talking about Liberty Media and what they're trying to do for the sport. They recently announced a bunch of social media figures and stats about how they've improved with social media. And that's something that we've also spoken about. We've seen that gradual shift, where we've seen them sort of approach this new way, just approaching fans and trying to be more accessible as a sport. Um, what do we make of these numbers? How seriously do we take these? Are they actually genuine, and what do they actually mean?
I think for Formula One, they've arrived late to the party, which is why suddenly there's a lot of attention on their social media, and they're trying to make the most of their attention because eventually, sponsors definitely want to see how engaging the sport is, and this is a good way to show it. To me, while the numbers look great, because let's remember they pretty much started from scratch, the key thing to note is that Formula One is now making sure that social media metrics is a part of their overall offering of the sport and not just the TV numbers and the visibility that the brands would get there. So it's great going. What I also like is how they've relaxed all the social media restrictions that teams and drivers had while at a racing circuit. And that has definitely led to far more engagement at the team and driver level, which is where our point of contacts are always going to be. And to me, the biggest win that Formula One has already had on social media is the arrival of Kimi Raikkonen.
No, we will talk about the arrival of Kimi Raikkonen, but I think when you're talking about social media, we have to discuss what's been happening with Lewis Hamilton because that has been, I think, the biggest talking point of this off season. If you aren't really keen in and haven't kept track of his social media antics, it started with a bit of a controversial Instagram video that he put out where he was mocking his nephew for what he was wearing. I think this was about Christmas, and that got a lot of flack. Where people were like, what Hamilton had said was rude, and he wasn't being considerate, and it sort of got on this whole debate. And then slowly, Hamilton deleted all his Instagram posts. He deleted all his Twitter tweets, all his posts everywhere from social media, and it was a vanishing act that he had. Kimi Raikkonen, meanwhile, made his entry into social media, and now Hamilton is back as well. So that's, I think, a quick summary of what's been happening. Mithila, I'll let you take this one. What's happening? What do you make out of this mystery?
I think that's a question a lot of us have been asking. Frankly, I was really surprised when Kimi Raikkonen showed up on social media, especially like Instagram of all places, I was actually wondering if there was like pressure on him in the paddock to kind of just be out there to go with Formula One's new social avatar and all of that. But the fact is, Kimi Raikkonen handles his social media himself. That's what the claim is, and he is seriously witty and he's hilarious. And I'm sad that we've been missing out on this all these months and years that he's been around. It was really surprising to also see Lewis Hamilton, disappear from social media, and then obviously he's back now, because it's almost like social media is such a crucial part of his identity, not just as a Formula One driver, but as the whole superstar, celebrity, actor, musician, persona that he likes to portray. So it almost seemed like one of those things, those dramatic things that Hamilton does from time to time for attention, but it's good to see that everyone's back now. More content for us, especially.
Yeah, now he's snowboarding in Japan, somewhere off. So, and I mean, he always puts up really like good updates for his fans. So I guess all's well that ends well in the end.
Yeah, but the only driver on the grid which is not on any social media is Sebastian Vettel, and I don't know what it'll take to get him there. And it'll be fun if he actually gets there, because imagine people going and tweeting out to him after his Baku incident and his Singapore start. But hopefully someday.
But I guess it is the social media age that we live in, and all these drivers, racers are superstars for so many of their fans, and they sort of have the social responsibility as well, as much as they do use social medias. And I think I would have been, I would never have accepted Raikkonen to make his appearance because he seems the most wary of this kind of attention and limelight. Let's see. Maybe by the end of 2018, we'll have Vettel as well. Who knows? That'll be interesting. Speaking of what else been happening, what's up with Force India? Are we finally? Is the name changing? What's the whole deal there, Kunal? What?
I believe they want to change their name. They desperately want to drop India from their name. And I know from my past that Force India has actually considered a lot of name changes since 2012. And it's something that I believe they've actually built the brand of Force India so well, especially with all their performances, that maybe a name change isn't really warranted from a sporting point of view, because there's merchandise out there. People are so happily have been referring to it as Force India. And then maybe from a commercial point of view, there are some restrictions or some reservations, which is what the team is claiming, and hence there is a change. So hopefully it'll be something better than Force India. I was hearing Force Racing as one of them, or Force One as one of them. If it's Force One, it'll actually be a tongue twister. Force One Formula One team.
Yeah.
So I hope they come up with a good name eventually, which can be remembered for a long time. Because let's remember, this season they may not end up finishing fourth in the championship, because McLaren is going with Renault, and that Renault themselves are going to be expected to do well as well. So eventually fans will remember them as Force India taking the fight to the big teams.
Yeah. I also feel, Mithila, we sort of, Indian fans sort of have that connect with the name, if that goes away, I think maybe for Indian fans, you sort of lose a bit of an identity in the Formula One sport.
That's true, actually, and more so because we don't have the race anymore. It just leaves us a little unhinged. And I also heard that, while Force India was seriously considering Force One as a possible name option, Liberty Media had some problems with that because they believed it could be, an acronym for that could be F1, Force One, and that wouldn't work for the sport. So I think there are a lot of factors that they need to consider, the fans, the sponsors, Liberty Media, their brand, all of that.
And it's just too generic a name. Force One just does not have the same thing, I feel.
Yeah.
It's one of the paramilitary forces in India is also called Force One. So you can imagine. But let me tell you, during my days at Force India, I know that a lot of Indians, and not just fans, I would say Indians, would still refer to Force India as Force One. So I don't know what's really going to change if we actually call them Force One.
Yeah, well, let's hope they're listening right now and maybe just take into account our views as well. Finally, we did see Formula One sort of embrace change in some ways, where they introduced a new logo at the end of the season, but that's also not gone down as well as they would expect. Kunal, that the logo is under fire as well. There's a bit of controversy. Could you just tell our fans what's happening and what's the latest update on that?
Honestly, it's a bit of an amateurish mistake, if there has been one, because 3M has claimed that their logo is pretty similar to Formula One and that they had filed a trademark way before. But to me, this means that there are two companies out there with similarly bad-looking logos, and both of them will be
redesigned. I think we were just sort of accepting the logo now. We just come to terms with it, in a month or so, and if again something's to happen to it, that would be a big change. But what else are you looking forward to in the off season before training and practice actually begins for the new season, the 2018 season?
I'm actually looking forward to the car launches, because each of the cars will have the halo. The halo can be customized. Will it have branding? Will it have driver specific colors? I'm trying to see how the designers will work around the interruption of the halo in the car design, etc. So in the off season, it's always the car launch that really excites me.
Yeah.
I hope someday Formula One does what World Rally Championships did this year, where they announced all the cars and launched all the cars under one roof. but I'm guessing that's some time away. But yeah, it'll definitely be the car launches and then what each car and each team reveals in preseason testing, because that will mean we'll have sort of understanding of form factor when we enter the season in March.
Mithila, your final thoughts before we sign off today?
Yeah, so yeah, the car launches is like that's definitely something to look forward to. And like we were saying before, the off season has been really exciting as well. We've had some interesting update or the other every week, whether it was Daniil Kvyat or the confirmation from Williams and all of that. Now there's talk that Formula One might be hosting a street race at Vietnam at some point, and there could be a official confirmation on that in some time. So, it's a lot of chatter in the paddock, but that's really important to keep fans like all of us engaged and excited for the season ahead.
Yes, and we will obviously be tracking everything that happens. So make sure you check out Firstpost as always for everything from the world of Formula One and motorsport. Thanks, Kunal. Thanks, Mithila, for joining. We'll be back very soon,
Thank you.
and we'll be back with more news from Formula One. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.